Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Crispy and today is our first day on Formula 1 2020. This is the first episode in our driver career mode series, and as you can see we'll be beginning in Formula 2. Now I've decided to do a full Formula 2 season to start with, the full 12 feature races and 12 sprint races, and yeah, we'll start from the bottom and work our way all the way up, hopefully, to the pinnacle of Formula 1.
Formula 2 is one of the key steps many drivers will take on the path to Formula 1. It is a championship where the best up-and-coming drivers in the world must compete in identical cars to hone their skills and showcase their talents to teams in the F1 paddock. Whichever Formula 2 experience you choose, your performance in the championship matters. Finish high up in the table and your Formula 1 career will start on a high, allowing you to more easily negotiate with the top teams on the grid.
So here we are then to the team selection screen, and as someone who I wouldn't say is an avid Formula 2 follower, I am more casual. I am aware of the names of these teams, however I'm not aware of their standing in this series. So we ended up going with UNI Virtuosi, purely because I know that they're affiliated with Renault, so we could go with the Renault Driver Academy. That way we'll have a nice kind of continuity into Formula 1, should we get there, should we be moderately successful. So here we are in practice.
This first race of the season is always quite difficult for us trackside, and for those back at the factory as well, as it's the first time the car has run since winter testing. The more consistent mileage you can get in these sessions, the happier we'll be.
And yeah, well, here we are. I've never driven a Formula 2 car on the game before. I assume that they will feel slightly different to the Formula 1 cars. So yeah, there's only the one practice session, so we'll get out there and see what we can do. But not really expecting too much. And yet here we are at the end of our first lap. As you can see, it went pretty well until this point, going wide. A lot of understeer in these cars. Really struggling to get any kind of lap time. Every time I pushed I would go off the track or understeer, which isn't exactly ideal. As you can see, coming into this first corner, we'll hit the braking point that you would in an F1 car and lock up the brakes, understeer, and off the track. So not great, and as you can see, the time was pretty bad, behind the legend himself. So that shows you exactly how it was going. But never mind that, on to qualifying. Let's see what we can do. So here we are then, onto our first flying lap in qualifying. It turned out to be our quickest lap in qualifying. Everyone set their laps pretty early on with only one set of tyres available. Actually hitting the apex this time compared to practice, much better start. Cut that corner slightly, but we'll ignore that. Into the DRS zone, down towards this heavy braking zone, which I found you actually had to drop down into second gear compared to third or fourth in the Formula 1 cars. Running a little bit wide, that understeer again coming into play. Now this quick left-right section was very tricky in these cars with the oversteer, having to drop down to third again just to make the turn in. Running out towards the curbs. Down here into second gear. I played a little bit with first gear here to get better traction, but I found that I was spinning up the rear tyres just a little bit too much. Now down into, I believe, 9 and 10, always tricky. Lock up slightly the inside tyre, but we make the corner. Get on the power nicely and down the back straight. So there's still a lot in hand here. As you can see here, braking a little bit earlier than what you would like, purely because of the understeer that I was getting. I didn't want to be kind of binning it off the track. So making sure that we, stick into the track. Here you go, understeer again, completely missing the apex. But keeping it in between the white lines, keeping it out of the barrier, and make sure that we at least get a lap in qualifying. So it's not been too bad so far. Down into the final corner. We actually make the apex this time, however we do run wide. The understeer coming in again. And as we head towards the line, what's our time going to be? 1:41.6 is enough for 7th. Just behind Aitken and in front of King. So yeah, as you can see, that was our pretty much only decent lap time. Beating our teammate though by a couple of tenths, so not too bad. We can work with 7th place for sure, and let's see what we can do in the race.
Hello and welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakir. Down on the grid, the engineers are making their last checks and today's race will be underway shortly. Here is the grid for today's race, which will be starting shortly. An immense lap from Nobuharu Matsushita yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Mick Schumacher in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Alesi, Ilott, Antoine Hubert, and Aitken, Murphy, King, De Vries, Dorian Boccolacci, Latifi, Joe, Juan Manuel Correa, and Sete Cameron, Mazepin, Delatraz, Boschon, and Mahavir Raghunathan. Galeo and Tatiana Calderon completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are for our first ever start here in the Formula 2 series. Let's see how we can get away from the line. A lot of wheel spin into second gear, and it's an awful start, losing 2, now 3, 4 spots before we even get to turn 1. Stuck on the outside now. For some reason got a warning for a collision we didn't have. Aitken pushes us out wide and then tries to cut us off, but we try and get through. We lose the back end and down into 7th behind him again. So ultimately no positions lost or gained, which is pretty good considering how bad of a start we got. Have a look at Aitken, but too far back. Hubert and I believe that's Ilott battling ahead of us. So we're looking forward rather than behind, following Aitken here through the left and right. Understeer not too bad really behind his cars, not too much in the way of dirty air. And we look to the inside, we go for the move, he leaves the door open, and we get it done into P6. Great start to the first lap. So here we have a look from the outboard cameras. As you can see, he leaves the door open, and that was super satisfying. Really enjoyed that move. Great start to the race. He tries to go side by side, but we get the better run out of, I believe, 8 into turn 9 and 10. You can see he closes up again as we're a bit unsure on the brakes still, but we get a decent exit and down the back straight we go. Now to lap 3, and Aitken is coming back at us now. DRS is enabled, but he doesn't have it, but he doesn't need it. He goes to the outside as we go defensive. Should give us the inside line here. He brakes early, but we hold the inside line and we keep the position. So it's a good little battle here with Aitken. P6 so far. Pretty pleased really, to be honest, battling in the points on our first race. Ilott only 2 seconds up the road. There's definitely a lot of things that we can be playing for right now, but at the moment still got Aitken behind us. Latifi's a little bit back down the road, so it's pretty much just us and Aitken looking towards 5th place. We completely missed the apex, understeering yet again. As you can see, they're playing with first gear, as I said. Didn't really work out though. No lock up this time, but we clatter that curb, which is never good for your exit. I mean, Aitken is given the opportunity to close up again, but he doesn't really do a lot with it. 2 seconds behind Ilott now. I found through the race here, as I got more and more confident on the brakes and getting better exit up the hill, I was gaining so much time, as you can see. 2, now 3, 4 attempts just on that little section of track. Fastest second sector split of anyone so far. And yeah, we're pushing hard. Now on to the end of lap 5, you can see that we've got a fastest lap under our belt so far, and we're nearly within a second of Ilott. We've dropped Aitken and he's now 3 seconds behind. So our pace has been really good as we're getting much more confident on those brakes. Starting to get a bit of a handle on the understeer that we were getting before. Ilott starting to fall back from Hubert and I believe it's a Lacey. So you can see he's closed up here, but then they get a much better exit than he does for some reason, and he's now a second behind them. So we're not well, we weren't quite in DRS range, we are now. So top 5 in our first race on the cards. Definitely not what I was expecting. Would have been pretty happy with a top 10, to be honest. A top 5 would be excellent work. Understeering a little bit in the dirty air, to be expected in these cars that I've found so far. Too far back to have a look this time. We lock up that inside tyre, but we make the apex, so no time lost. Later on during the lap we closed right up behind him. As you can see now, way more confident on the brakes. Through here we were gaining so much time on Ilott. We look, oh, we get a little bit close, have to lift off. Into the braking zone, he leaves the door wide open. We go down the inside, locking both of our front tyres. We make the move, we make the position stick up into P5. Excellent work, but as you can see with the proximity arrow, he's still with us, still got our toe. Clatter the curb again, which doesn't help with our exit. And as you can see, he's coming now right back at us, had a much cleaner exit than we did. Obviously didn't try and destroy himself on the curbs. And here he goes, down the inside. No way to defend that, but then under brakes we shoot to the inside, make that switch back, hold him up on the apex, and we're back in P5. Lovely battle with Ilott. Really good so far, these battles with the AI. Find them much more intelligent than in years gone by. But however, that has cost us. We're now 2.5 seconds behind Hubert with only a lap and a half to go. And here we are now onto the final corner of the final lap of the race. Couldn't gain on Alesi and Hubert, clattering that curb again, making an absolute meal of the final corner. Luckily we dropped Ilott by a second and a half. Mick Schumacher takes the win. We don't worry about that as we get P5 in our first race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So another excellent win from Prema. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
I think they kept a cool head. That's why they won today. Smooth, steady, everything bad that happened to them, they handled it calmly and professionally. That's what let them focus on getting the best out of everything else. The car, the strategy, they managed to keep out of trouble the whole way around.
As we look back on a thrilling race here today, we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema.
So yeah, Mick Schumacher takes the win ahead of Matsushita, Alesi, Hubert and myself in the top 5. Really great opening race. Really enjoyed that one. Zhu makes it into the top 10 as well. So here we are now for the sprint race.
Welcome back for the final event of the weekend, the sprint race. Here, the top 8 from yesterday's feature race are reversed to make up the grid below us. And in just a few minutes, those drivers will be hurtling down into turn 1.
So here we are then on the grid for the sprint race. We're starting P4 as the top 8 are reversed. So let's see what we can do. Can we get a better start this time? Not really, as we lose more spots. Watch the proximity arrow on the right as our teammate Zhu comes from absolutely nowhere, wipes us out. We just about survive, get a warning for that collision even though it was his fault, but we're up into P3. Everyone seemed to get held up by that incident at the start, and we're behind Aitken yet again on lap 1. This time, however, it's for P2. So already in the podium places, Latifi running away from the lead. Can we close up on Aitken through here? Yes, we can. But can we get the same move done that we did last time? No, too far back this time into the hairpin. Carry a little bit too much speed, which means that we have to wait to get on the power, and we lose all of those gains again, and Aitken gets away. Still struggling here under braking for this corner, but we actually make the apex this time without destroying the curbs. So only within 2 seconds of the lead. Pretty good start. Ilott already a second behind us, so we don't even need to worry about him, and we can worry about moving ahead. Make a bit of a mess of that corner, but that's alright. And yeah, Aitken is definitely within our sights. Latifi, not so much, but we'll wait and see. 5-lap race, it's only a short sprint race. So, not too much time to play with, but that also means that there's not too much time to lose positions. And here we are now heading on to lap 3. Only 3 laps to go. We get the fastest lap. Ilott still about that second behind us. Latifi and Aitken closing right up with each other now. And we're pretty much within a second. We lock up yet again. A huge issue we've been having with these cars is our lockups. But with such short races, not too much of a worry about tyre wear. Within DRS range. Aitken having a little look at Latifi, but too far back. So yeah, a freeway battle for the lead on our debut weekend. Absolutely not expected, but we would definitely take it. Getting a purple Sector 1 yet again shows our pace. Can we have a look? We have a little look just to let them know we're there, but that's enough. Was honestly really expecting to struggle here, as I struggle very much with the Formula 1 cars on Bahrain, but not so much with the F2 cars. Lock up from Latifi there means Aitken can get close. We lose the back end a little bit as we drop into first gear, but the DRS will help us. Will keep us just in touching distance of the leaders. Brake nicely for this corner. Gain all that time back up through the hill. As I said, this part of the track was probably our strongest, really. As we make those gains, Latifi's now within a second of us too, so it's top three, all split by 1 second. Slight luck up yet again, but that's alright. We make the corner, we don't lose any time. Getting the toe from Aitken, who's getting it from Latifi. As we head down onto the main straight, can we get this right this time? Moderately. More so than normal. That DRS will help us yet again, as Aitken is now within 4/10 of Latifi. Will he make the move down into turn 1? He hangs back slightly, but they slow right up. We've got nowhere to go. Locking up the brakes, slide into Aitken and up into P2. What was going on there? Why were they so slow? So here we have a look on the replay. Now look at Latifi as he goes into the braking zone, locks up, slows Aitken up. We dive to the inside to avoid contact, nowhere to really go. Doesn't look as violent on the outboard shots as it did on the onboard shots. But yeah, up into P2. And now onto the final lap, still behind Latifi, 1 sector to go. Aitken still behind us too, so it's still a freeway battle for the lead. We look to the inside here up the hill, and we get Latifi down the inside and into the lead on our first weekend. Down into second gear, trying to hold him up. And there we go. Only one more corner left to survive. Can we get a win on debut in the Formula 2 season? Take it very steady through here. Make sure that we don't go wide on those curbs, which we don't. And there we go. So checkered flag, fastest lap, and we get the win. Unbelievable.
Fantastic drive, just fantastic. You deserved that race win.
So Univirtuosi have won it, and what a great race it was. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own.
Here come our winning drivers then out onto the podium at the end of a thrilling race. The drama and excitement are over, and it's time to let it all sink in. Congratulations to our top 3 today.
There we go, top step of the podium on debut weekend after getting 5th in the feature race to 1st in the sprint race. Outstanding, really, completely unexpected. Excellent battles with Latifi and Aitken in both races, really. And yeah, as you can see, 17 points because we didn't end up getting the fastest lap. Actually, King got it on the final lap. But I'm pretty sure that we end the weekend in the lead of the championship. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit like, and if you want to see any more racing content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel or head on over to Twitch. And yeah, look at the standings, and we do lead by 1 point. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.